blessing to the world. And so the only thing that we need to do, because they were a blessing, they have given birth to you, they have educated you, they were caring, they were loving. And the only reason of our gathering here today should be to thank God and be grateful for such great souls who believed in the gift of life and who believed that this life needs to be shared. And it is shared today through their children, through their in-laws, through so many of them. And the only reason of today's gathering has to be to thank God for all that He has done in this family and through them in this community. So we gather here remembering Priscilla very specially. It's 1 year now. Time has passed so fast. And it was shocking that Isaac had to leave at this time. But as I said, our perspective is to thank God. Today, in these times, if you remember, probably those who were born and raised in this country may not know or may not be able to identify with what I'm going to say now, but in India it's a common gesture that there's no electricity for 24 hours in a stretch or maybe 2 days in a stretch. And so everything stops with the electricity going off. There's no television, there's no radio, there are no other things that are held through electricity. And so there's anger, there's frustration, there's discouragement. Why? And so I'm sure that these feelings are the feelings today of Priscilla and Isaac's children too. Why? 1 year ago it was my mother. Just 10 days ago it was my father. How to answer this? Why the suffering to us? Why did we become orphans in just a matter of 1 year? Bound to come as a question. And the answer is very simple if you look at it biblically. The answer is, if you look at the goal, the purpose of everyone's life here on earth is to get united with Christ. And so all of us are on our journey together to reach that goal. And so someone rightly said, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And so this is a hard reality. The death is the only true reality, they say, that gets everything naked. And that's why we celebrate on Ash Wednesday what we see in every funeral. Every funeral service we see the body has come. We don't say Sebastian is there. We don't say John has come. We say the body has come. So at death, everything is taken away. All our labels. We are not doctors. We are not engineers. We are not fathers. We are not nurses. The body comes in. Everything is taken away. Everything. But what we gain is the presence of God. Sisters and brothers, there is this whole cult of youthfulness in today's world. Everybody wants to look young. Everybody wants to be young. It becomes very hard for people in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s definitely to acknowledge that we are getting older. And we want to look young. Who doesn't want to? And so this cult of youthfulness, but one of the negative aspects that has come in because of this cult of youthfulness, it's all great to look good, to present ourselves as young and dynamic and vivacious and energetic, enthusiastic. It's great. One negative point of concern is that the old get out of the equation. And so this is where I want to bring in to notice that the old always have wisdom. And much more than that, as I was speaking with Sergeant, Priscilla would wake up at 4 in the morning. That was back in Kerala when he was in the 8th grade. Make egg and milk at 4 in the morning, wake them up to study for their exams. And the best part of it, when I asked him, was she would remain awake. She wouldn't just give that Motan Pal and then go back to sleep, but she would remain awake. Her presence was a part of their growth. And this is what we miss, because we have memory. It's the greatest faculty. And memory does not allow us to forget all the great things that has been done in our life through our parents. And so memory definitely will bring grief to you, Sergeant, to Sony and Zoe. All those great things that you were rendered is served through your parents. But grief is not bad, because the only gift as human beings that we can give to these people is the gift of our memory. Because they have lost everything here. That we remember them. Whether they are in purgatory, whether they are one united with Christ, we remember the power of memory. Even though it brings in grief, it is great, and that's the reason of our gathering here today. So, sisters and brothers, at death and at these anniversaries, we just don't blindly follow. We're looking at what happened. It's called eschatology. What has come will come. Jesus went through death and resurrection and ascension to his Father. Each and every one of us here believes that we will die, but there is hope, that there is resurrection. All of us are going to definitely be one, and we will be. One of the greatest experiences that I had as a priest, I want to bring it out now, was this woman who I would give communion every Friday. And this was a situation in another country in India. And she was getting, all the cells of her body were dying right from her feet. So she was getting paralyzed. And then that came to a cough, and then to abdomen. Cells were dying, and then she was getting paralyzed more and more. And I've seen her for 4 years every Friday to give communion to her, to bring Jesus to her. And it came to such a point in my 3rd year that she was paralyzed, all the cells of her body were dying till here. I have never ever seen a twinkle in the eye of another individual as I had so much in her eye, the brightness that was seen every time I brought Jesus to this lady. Sisters and brothers, even though these anniversaries bring grief, painful memories, it's a time to thank God. And the energy and the power comes to us through the death, resurrection, and ascension of God. The bishop said to us once, dynamism and enthusiasm is not young priests running and doing musicals and concerts, or young couples and brides living their lives in honeymoon and all of that. Enthusiasm is like a tennis ball. The harder you are thrown, the higher you bounce. Enthuse, in spirit, in theos, in God. Every Christian is called to be enthusiastic. The harder we are thrown in life, the higher we bounce. And so the test in your life, especially the children, is thank God that you had your parents who took care of you, who gave you education. Thank God that you had a father in Isaac who had a strong willpower to raise you, and first and foremost to bring you into this earth, into this world. Many children probably don't have that opportunity. And so we are here to thank God for all of this. Sisters and brothers, we all need a home. St. Paul said at death, the tent is folded up. But we need to remember, all of us, as one of the great Indian saints said, his name was Saint Jnaneshwar, a Hindu saint, who said every birthday is a symbol of shortened life. Every birthday I go one step closer toward my grave. Every birthday that I celebrate. And so that is what happened to this great person. Once he read in a newspaper, the merchant of death is dead. And so he was surprised to read his own obituary in the newspaper, and he says, how did this happen? But that was a conversion experience. And this was an experience in the life of one of the greatest persons who worked for peace in the world, who was selling dynamites which kill people. He changed that profession. He gave up his business of making dynamites, killing, destroying people. And he worked only for peace. That was the death of his past and the life of a new life. His name was Alfred Nobel. The Nobel Peace Prize is awarded after him. Sisters and brothers, these times we need to remember, if I'm a father, let me be a better father. If I'm a child, let me be a better child. Let me be a person who will be remembered as much as Priscilla was remembered. As someone said, also Sergeant said, Priscilla was always a happy person. Who doesn't have pain? If I were to say that she did not have pain and sorrow and sadness and negative things in her lives, we would be not talking reality and sense. She had the pain, but the grace came from the fact that she was enthused, in theos, in God, enthusiastic. No matter how hard a person is thrown, she bounced high. So when they went to the hospital, she sang hymns to them and songs to them with a smile on her face. And this smile on someone's face can come only when we are connected directly with God. So sisters and brothers, as St. Paul said, nothing, not even suffering, nor the tragedy of death can separate us from the love of God. No death, no suffering can separate us from the love of God. And so, Father Robert, the other Father, myself, will be praying for this whole family and all of you, that no matter how hard life is, how hard life throws us down, we always may get the love from God to rise above, because we are people whose goal is only one, to be united with Christ. God bless.